Welcome back to the channel. My name is Francis, destination wedding photographer based out of Puerto Rico. And in today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you the one thing that you have to make sure that you do every time that you are thinking about whipping out your flash, your strobes, or a trigger on your hot shoe. If you're new to flash photography, it could be admittedly very easy to get overwhelmed with settings and what to tweak, what to dial up, dial down. And in this tutorial, I want to make sure that I've give you a basis and foundation on where to start each and every time so that this never happens to you ever again. That, my friend, is to always make sure that you are exposing for the ambient light that is readily available. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, if you're anything like me, you oftentimes find yourself in two very popular scenarios. One is in a hotel lobby with some dimly lit candles, chandeliers, it could be light fixtures, or also like me, you find yourself shooting a lot of weddings on the beach during golden hour. So it doesn't matter if you are indoors and outdoors, exposing for the environment is going to help you a ton and accelerate and further your career as a flash photographer. Now, the first thing that you are probably thinking about is how exactly do I expose for the ambient light? So the first thing that I would recommend you do, and remember this every time you want to try flash, is to make sure that you are not mounting a trigger, mounting an on-camera flash, or off-camera flash whatsoever. First, focus on dialing in the exposure for the ambient lighting in camera first. Now, my preferred method is to always use the exposure triangle to my advantage to figure out just how much light that is readily available I want to still keep in the frame while also maintaining the wherewithal of knowing that I'm going to eventually add lighting to this scenario. Now, I personally achieve this look by dialing down the ISO as low as it can go because, of course, I have readily available flashes and strobes that are going to add lighting enough to overpower anything that I might miss out on by having a low ISO. Number two, odds are you are going to be photographing something that is going to be still. In this case, let's use the example of my brides and grooms. For the most part, I like to keep my shutter speed anything less than what's required of high-speed sync. That is to say, 1/160 to 1/250. You guys know that most ecosystems require a high-speed sync in order to enable flash photography for shutter speeds over 1 to 250. So I'm going to keep this very light and very easy to digest. I will get eventually into high-speed sync tutorial later on in the course of this YouTube channel. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss that, stick around by subscribing. I would love to have you. So again, going back to shutter speed, I like to keep things around 160 and 1/250 because that's a sweet spot for making sure I have enough readily available light coming in through my camera, as well as also balancing the fact that I want to make sure that my subjects are still tack sharp even when they are probably not going to move. So now that you have 2 out of the 3 exposure triangle settings, we now need to focus on aperture, which is the one that mostly gets tweaked in the sense of allowing the light to pass through the lens and hit the sensor. So since your ISO is probably as low as you can go and you're hovering between 160 to 250, my recommendation is that you keep your shutter as low as it can possibly go to also preserve a little bit of that background blur, aka depth of field. So since we are visual learners, I want to take this opportunity to show you a picture that I take at one of my recent weddings to end 2024. Now, this is a picture that I took with my bride and groom on a wooden deck just outside of their wedding venue. And I realized that since the sun was going down, I wanted to sort of expose for the sky that was readily available before sunset. So I did that. And as you can see here, my settings, which I will obviously share with you, are 1/160, which is, again, what I referred to at the beginning of this video. My aperture, I kept it as low as it could go on my 15 to 35, which was an f2.8. And the ISO, I had to bump it up a little bit because I was burning daylight quite a bit, but it's still a very manageable low number so that you can use your flash to control the amount of light that you are artificially. Now, why do I want you to take this into consideration each and every time? Because flash photography is all about creating harmony between what is natural and what is artificial. In other words, you want to retain that which is readily available, but at the same time, dial in your settings and make sure that you have enough power to complement that which is in the background. And after a couple of tweaks here and there, you can take an image that looks like this to an image that looks like this. So there you have it. No longer do you have to fumble across your settings when you're about to do some flash photography if you always expose for indoor or outdoor lighting first. Hope you got a little value out of this quick tutorial. If you do, stick that thumb you know where. And if you want to check out more gear reviews, free education like this one, stick around by subscribing. I would love to have you. In the meantime, in case you're curious, the flash that I use for this one picture that I showed you is the Godox AD100, by far the best bang for your buck. I actually made a review right here, and I would love for you to check that out. If you do, I'll see you in there.